This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 8th year of talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, it's Alex. This is the Ramble. We're going till midnight tonight from New York to New York. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. And how are you, Larry?
Good. It's July in San Francisco, which means it's cold as hell.
Yeah, right. And here, let's see here. Today it's going to be up around 95 or something. So,
a hot day in New York sounds miserable.
the hot day in New York is. Do you ever remember that song "Summer in the City" by the Lovin' Spoonful? And that
1966.
and that beginning of it that went ba-dum, da-dum. That is exactly how hot weather in New York City feels. You know,
That was a good song.
yeah, but it's unrelenting. It's really unrelenting. I'm amazed by how strong it was. You know, because it's like you're on a griddle. There's the sidewalks, which get hot, and then the buildings that radiate the heat. You know, it's not like this kind of heat out in the country would be kind of nice. You know,
Yeah.
you sit under a tree to get the little shade, and it's it's wonderful. But in the city, it's just overbearing. You know, so
And hot weather seems to make people violent.
does it?
I think so, yeah.
Really?
People are always fighting and tempers flare.
Well, we're always violent here in New York City.
Well, that's true, yeah.
We have the blood sport in our city is blood sport. So it's amazing. It's just amazing. But anyway, by the way, if people are listening to this or watching this on GabNet, because Larry doesn't have the facilities to be able to Zoom us so we could see his ugly mug. Okay,
I know, I'm hiding.
you're hiding. I think your reluctance to up the technology is because you just don't want anybody to see you. I think that's the attitude.
Well,
here.
that's a part of it, actually, yeah. So.
Yeah. And so consequently, what we do is Larry is so important to this program that we're willing to forego that, right? Because everybody else they have to look at us on camera, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, some people told me that Zoom a lot. You can actually put filters on and stuff to make yourself not look quite as horrible. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't that'd be like putting flies on shit. Okay, Larry. But anyway, so what I do is I put up a graphic that says Larry Bubbles Brown with a picture of you on it and a little stuff moving around. Well, I finally decided I've had that same graphic going for so long, it's time to change it.
Which one do you get now?
Well, there's a new one they're looking at right now as we're talking, if they're watching us on GabNet TV. It's a new graphic with a new picture of you plus the old one in the background, and then some bubbles animated in the background as a
like
background.
the bubbles, yeah.
Yeah, bubbles, and then just a thing that says Larry Bubbles Brown on it. So we've freshened you up after what did we say? How many episodes? 180 episodes.
178. I guess there'll be 179.
No, we did 179 and 180 last time.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so we figured 180 episodes. It's about time for a change. So
we've run longer than Seinfeld.
Yes.
But we're not getting that syndication money.
Well, you're getting that GabNet syndication money, and I'll send you your check next week. It's in the mail. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, do you want something? Because I think off of GabNet on money from Google, from what do you call it? What am I using? My mind's a blank today. Using YouTube. Okay. YouTube, I think I maybe made $300 this year.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you want any of that, let me know.
There are some people that make a fortune on YouTube.
Well, if you can get yourself 1 million views on anything, and there are people who do that very easily, you can get about $4,000. Okay? So there are people who do things like unboxing the newest Apple computer and whatever, and they get like 2 million views. So if they bought that new Apple computer for $6,000, they're making, $8,000. So there is money in it. But at my level, believe me, I'm lucky to get $300 a year. Yeah, I'm lucky they don't say, "Hey, we want some of that money back." So, but anyway, how's life going with you?
Good. I was thinking, we're talking about some of the amazing people you've interviewed over the years, and I always like to go to the negative. I was always thinking, who are some of the worst interviews you've had?
Well, Roseanne Cash, I think, was one we hated. Lori hated Roseanne Cash.
I don't remember that one.
She felt she was snotty.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The actress. Is it the actress Roseanne Cash? Which one's the actress? I guess it is. Yeah. She hasn't made movies in a long time now. But anyway, what do you call it? Lori Thompson hated her. Just hated her.
Lori didn't hate anyone.
What do you feel are some of the worst interviews that we did? I mean, who can you remember that was?
Well, there's one I don't remember, but I remember your producer came in one morning and said that this guy was going to be on the following week, and you said, "Oh, he's a terrible interview." It was some actor, Wally Shawn.
Oh, Wally Shawn.
You said you liked.
I love Wally Shawn in movies. I'm a fan of Wally Shawn's. The first time I ever heard that I was going to have him on the show, he said, "Oh, by all means, book Wally Shawn." And of course, my producer said, "Who's Wally Shawn?" But Wally Shawn is, if you remember, Manhattan, Woody Allen's Manhattan. She keeps talking about this boyfriend with this really butch name that she went with, and what a great lover he was, and this was, the best lover she ever had. And it kept talking about this guy over and over. Keaton kept talking about him over and over again. And finally you meet him in the movie, and he's this wimp, which Wally Shawn is the ultimate movie wimp. And he was in Princess Bride. That's despicable, that's inconceivable, I think was his great line. You remember Princess Bride?
I've never seen it. People keep talking about that movie like it's some epic classic. I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's a great film. Good little film.
Really?
But anyway, Wally Shawn, so I wanted to have him on in the worst way. And he comes on, and he is just the worst possible interview. No, I'm not saying that this guy is a terrible guy or anything like that. He just was boring. Well, I don't know about that. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, he was the Wally Shawn from the movies, and I'm sitting there suffering, because I can't really get a good conversation going with this guy, even though I know he's very intelligent and he's really on the ball. So finally, after about 10 minutes, I go, "Well, thank you so much, Wally, for having been here," because I figured I'd wrap it up. It's not going anywhere. And the next line out of his mouth was, "I wasn't good enough."
Oh, God.
And he does it with this pathetic Wally Shawn voice, And the last thing you want to do is to have somebody on your show who is feeling hurt by the fact that you've done something wrong, because it makes you look bad.
Yeah.
So I kept him around for another 20 minutes.
Another bad 20 minutes.
And I guess the second time you mentioned is that somebody said you want Wally Shawn on the show, and I said, worst interview
I just
ever.
remember you recoiled in horror.
Yeah. I mean, and I loved Wally. I mean, a lovely person, wonderful person, sweet, everything you expect Wally Shawn to be, except exciting. And he was just, I mean, it was grueling for me, you know. The most grueling interview I ever did in my life was with Iggy Pop. You know, remember Iggy Pop?
Yeah, I don't remember the interview you did.
No, this was in New York.
Okay.
And he comes in, I go, oh, we're going to have Iggy Pop on tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Iggy. And he goes, eh. And I go, yeah, okay, well, no, how are you today, Iggy? And he goes, And for the whole hour, all I ever got out of this guy was,
Oh, man.
Not even a word of English was spoken. Just grunts. This goes on for an hour. And the reason I did it for an hour was, after a while, that becomes funny. You know, it becomes hilarious. Once you go past the pain of it all, it starts getting hilarious. And all he's doing is going, And so finally, at the end of the interview, I said, Iggy, do you have anything to say besides, And he belched.
Jesus.
And that was the interview with Iggy Pop.
Wow.
Yeah. But I turned that into a gem, a moment that I will always remember, because, you know, I called him on it, and he just belched. That's all, you know. And I went, okay, Iggy.
I remember David Cassidy. It was a weird interview because he would just, like, you would ask him a question, and he'd go on these 3-minute answers, and he just...
I don't remember. Did I have him on?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's dead, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you get for being on my show. You wind up dead. I'm trying to think of there was somebody the other day who died who had been on my show. It was Ivana Trump. Do you remember Ivana?
Okay, you had her? Wow.
Yeah, I had her on the show. I thought it was on the phone, and then when I looked back on it, I think it was in the studio. And I remember her as being a very nice person, very decent person. You know.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And let me see here. Who else? Did you go with us to Vegas?
No, I missed the flight, actually. I caused a big stir.
Oh, you missed the flight. Oh.
It was May of 96.
Yeah. That was the closest we ever came to having Donald Trump on the show. He walked past our studio.
Okay, that was you guys were doing that from the stratosphere, right?
Yeah, we're doing it from the stratosphere, and the guy who owned the place was giving Trump the tour. And I figured, let's go grab Donald Trump, and then I went, forget it. You don't want Donald Trump. But wait a minute, I'm trying to think, who else do you remember as a terrible interview?
Sometimes you would have certain comics, there were great comics, but some comics couldn't step out of their act, so they weren't really good in the moment, so they're kind of like not great interviews.
Yeah, I'll tell you, a guy I liked as a person, I think we all did, long gone, died of AIDS, actually. It was Jim Samuels.
Oh, the best, yeah.
And I love Jim Samuels. Nice guy, sweet guy, terrific. I couldn't book him on the show. I'd have him on. I had him on a couple of times, and he just didn't work on the show. You know, people didn't understand. There were two requirements for being on my show. One is you're a funny comic, you're a funny person. But the other thing is that translates into being good on radio.
Yeah, don't do your bits.
Don't do your bits. Be conversational with me, and if a bit comes to mind while we're talking, then use your joke. But I would rather you just fold right into the show, and you did that perfectly. I mean, you still do.
Yeah, that was fun.
I don't think you're ever sitting on this program with me doing material.
No, and I will say I've never felt more uncomfortable. When I did the first Letterman show, they actually had, after you did your set, you sat down and talked to Letterman, and they just led you into bits, but that's the most uncomfortable
I watched
I've ever felt.
I saw it the other day. It's on.
Oh, really?
That
was so uncomfortable.
Anything. I decided to go look you up. Okay, and I found your 2 Letterman shots, 20 years apart.
21.
Well, the first one was in
August 4th, 87.
87, and the next one was
July 25th, 08.
08. So, see? 20 years, folks. Why? Well, he had to get enough material for another 5 minutes. Anyway, so I watched both of them, and I watched the first one, and he did have you sit down.
I know. Horrible.
He did have you sit down. And you were just doing one-liners. That was it. Well, the one thing is, Marjorie pointed it out, and I never realized it, because I always thought of you as somebody that I would converse with and who was funny and fun to talk to. But I never really remembered your act, per se.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And she pointed out, he just does one-liners. And I said, yeah, I guess he does. And you really, that is your act, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. And
what do you mean, unfortunately?
One-liners, they're hard to remember them all, and it's
the funniest.
It takes forever to fill time doing one-liners. You got to do 5-6 jokes a minute.
One of the funniest people in comedy, it does nothing but one-liners, and that's Stephen Wright.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
and he's always had he always had a hard time remembering his. That's why he walks from one side of the stage to the other. He's trying to remember the next joke.
Oh, okay. All right. You know, but so your act's the hardest kind of act to do because you don't have...
Yeah, and I read the same thing about Dangerfield. He was just, every time he did a show, he's freaking all day, listening to his cassette, trying to remember all these jokes. He would do like 300 jokes in an hour.
Because I noticed, this is strange, I noticed that on the first set you did on Letterman, some of those jokes were in the second set you did on Letterman.
I repeated one joke, yeah.
Yeah. And that, you know, when I looked at a lot of stuff that you did, even stuff that was done recently, there's something from the theater over in Mill Valley that I found. You're still using the same material you were using 20 years ago.
But the thing for Mill Valley is that's actually the audition that got me the Letterman shot.
the second Letterman shot?
The second one, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Because what's strange, it was another thing I thought about when you did the second Letterman shot, was you went back and said, okay, I'm ready, but the people who were there when you were there the first time weren't there anymore. Bob Morton wasn't the producer any longer.
No, I didn't know anyone there.
You didn't know anybody. So you had to kind of reintroduce yourself to them. Did
Right.
they go back and look at your tape from the first Letterman show?
No, I didn't, and I think... I didn't know the first Letterman show I was so nervous, but I worked really, really slow, which is what I should have done. But
yeah,
because when you work slow, they say that it looks like even if you're not confident, you look confident if you work slow. Jay Leno says he said go slow, and if you think you're going too slow, go even slower.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I saw you on that show, and I went. The thing about you that was terrific, the audience reaction to you was really interesting. And I don't know if you ever noticed it, but you got bigger laughs with your pauses than you did with the actual joke.
Oh, on the second one, yeah, I got they'd have these huge, long delays, and then they just kept laughing.
Because
weird.
your face would go into this thing, you know, because on TV you're close, you're up close. And so you work better on TV than I think you probably would even on a stage. But I
think low energy comics do work better on TV than live. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I put you on. I was watching you do it, and you would pause and look out at the audience, and they would then start applauding. You know, and at one point, you, in fact, were so astonished by it, you said, thank you.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. You looked astonished that they were laughing at you just sitting there you know, looking at the camera, looking at them.
Wow.
And so I suddenly realized that you have the kind of act where the audience is on your side. You know, they look.
Well, when it works, they are. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I mean, they look at you as pathetic, and they want you to succeed. You poor pathetic thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a fine line. You don't want them to feel pity for you, but.
And the closest that I can remember that somebody did what you were doing unconsciously, by staring at the audience and giving that look between jokes, was Jack Benny.
Oh, wow, that's quite a compliment.
Who would say a joke, right, and then he would pause. And he would get a bigger laugh on the pause. A good example was years ago on radio. One of the most important bits that Benny ever did was being robbed in the middle of the night by somebody who says, your money or your life. And the guy was played by Sheldon Leonard, said again, hey, bud, your money or your life? And the guy says it again. I said your money or your life. And Benny pauses, okay, and the laugh is starting to come. The audience is starting to laugh because the pause is there. And he goes, I'm thinking it over. Well,
supposedly one of the longest laughs in the history of radio.
It was I think a 45-second laugh from the audience. And that was all based on pauses. It wasn't based if he had just immediately said, when he said your money or your life, and he goes, I'm thinking it over, everybody would just laugh and on to the next joke. But it was the pauses that caused the laugh, the big laugh, because when it finally came, it was so in style for Benny, you know.
Yeah,
that it worked.
All the timing.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty amazing what you were doing, because it reminded me very much of what Benny did with his pauses, and you didn't know you were doing it.
I didn't. And I haven't seen the second shot. I've listened to it, but I never saw it.
You should.
So I should look at it.
I wish I had a way of sending it to you, but well, I mean, I'd tell you to go on YouTube because it's there several times, several different versions of it.
Okay.
Is up there, and you know, it was. I think it was masterful. I think it was absolutely masterful.
Well, thank you.
On the other hand, we could go back and I can't find it anywhere. I have to go look for it, see if I can find it. Because on YouTube, you can find almost anything you want. I can find my entire history on YouTube. And I find interviews I did on Channel 2, you know, things like that. But anyway, the thing I wish I could find is Will Durst on Letterman. He never got a second shot.
You can't find that one?
I haven't looked for it, actually. It is maybe one of the worst first shots anybody ever did on Letterman. Did you ever see it?
I saw it. Yeah, I did. Yeah, because it was. I remember when it was. It was April of '85.
Yeah, yeah.
But in Will's defense, a lot of comics bombed on that show. Then,
well, in Will's defense, he was only doing what the producer Bob Morton told him to do.
Uh-huh.
He said, I like that piece of material, I don't like that piece of material. I like that material, I don't like that piece of material. So what went on the air really wasn't Will's act, it was Bob Morton's idea of Will's act. And he went on and just bombed. I mean, there were no laughs. Nobody was laughing. And I felt really bad for him, because I knew him to be a better comic than that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't work on that in that kind of situation. You worked perfectly. Your act was perfect for TV and for Letterman.
Yeah, but that is annoying that you have to do the material they want, and so.
Yeah. What happened after you were through with the second time? Did they say come back when you get a chance, or what?
No, nothing. No comeback. I think I was too old, but.
Yeah. Well, also, it was towards the end of his run, wasn't it?
It was towards the end, and I do remember after my set, the Letterman came over and said good night, and then the lights went down, and he started talking to me, and when I came off taking back to the green room, the staff was going crazy. They said, "Oh my God, he never talks to anyone."
Oh, really?
I felt honored. Yes.
Yeah, it's true. He never really did talk to anyone. But, what a great story. Hey, listen, I just looked. We've run out of time for this episode of Life with Larry.
It flies by.
It just flies by when you have
number 179 in the can.
No, this is 181.
180.
181. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. Bye, Larry.
Bye.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 8th year of talk like you've never heard it before.
And good old Larry Bubbles Brown and a new graphic, Look, you see, we had a new graphic. There we go. It took me about 5 minutes to do that. Why I haven't done it before now, I have no idea, because you've been seeing the same ugly graphic for 170 episodes. Okay, but we got the new one, and we're happy to say it's there. And hello, everybody. How are you? It doesn't look like there's anybody waiting out there except for Alan. But if you want to call, you call. Brian's not going to call tonight. He's got a birthday dinner for a friend. So, but I noticed that Charlie is out there. At least he's been sending some messages here and whatever. Anyway, so nothing much happening today. All I know is that to gripe my wife. Here's what I've been doing. I'm sick of MSNBC. Okay, I'm just sick of them because I'm just so sick of the one-dimensional quality of the channel. I mean, there are people with differing opinions, but they don't seem to be too terribly welcomed on MSNBC. Now, I know that a lot of Republicans won't go on the show, Republican congressmen and senators, because their people don't want them to do it. Okay, that I understand. But there are people who are not in Congress and not in the Senate who have a differing view. Now, I'm not against, I don't agree with that differing view. But I'd like to hear it, makes for more exciting broadcasting. So I really don't understand it. Anyway, we don't even have many people here waiting to come on tonight, but we'll attempt to do it here. Let's see here. I just pushed admit all. There we go, and the alls are coming on. There they are. There's Josh Wheeler. Hello, Josh. How are you this evening?
Good. How you doing?
Fine. And you, Alan?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Well, you're the only two guys we got, so start talking.
What want to talk about?
No, I don't know. Did you see the thing last night? The congressional hearings on...
Yeah, I didn't see all the way to the end because I had to go to sleep. But I saw a good majority of it. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think?
I've seen almost all of them. I haven't seen every minute of every single one, but I've probably seen 80%.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Okay. What did you think?
I think they just wrapped it up. I guess I didn't hear too much of the witness testimony. Some of the witness testimony they've had has been kind of sort of a waste of time. I mean, they could have just sort of presented that. They don't really ask them much like they do in some other formats. But I mean, overall, look, it's pretty clear what happened, and I don't really know what the consequences are going to be.
I wasn't surprised by anything that I heard.
No.
But again, it would have been nice to hear somebody there to defend Trump. Why? Because I just think they should have had somebody there to defend Trump.
Yeah. Well, they've had their opportunity.
Well, they had the opportunity. That's true.
If none of them want to do it, then I guess there's not a lot that can be done.
Well,
I haven't had any major, issue with the hearings or anything like that. I don't particularly like how, like, the chairman Thompson gives this. I don't think he needs to talk for 5 minutes before they do anything. I think he should just say we're in order and here we go.
Yeah.
I don't like that sort of
it almost to me seems
opinion op-ed that he gives at the beginning there.
It almost seems like an ego thing. It comes off that way.
Yeah, I mean, I just like to say I don't care for it. I mean, it's not necessarily it's not wrong. It's certainly not against the rules or anything. I'm just, as a preference, I would prefer that they just presented the evidence and they didn't really provide that personal commentary. Just me, but
I also didn't like the fact that they were reading everything off a teleprompter.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's pretty scripted, I mean, and for the most part, that's been fine.
And if it's scripted, you get the feeling that the verdict is in before they even present it. They present the stuff. See, my argument yesterday was on the show that there are a certain amount of people that hate Trump, okay, and there's a certain amount of people that love Trump, but then there's a great bunch of people in the middle who don't feel either way and want to watch something and see what they think for themselves. And I don't think those people walked away feeling that it was a fair airing of this situation.
I don't know. I mean, I have seen some.
I mean,
polling,
I think it was fair, and I think it was okay.
Right.
But I'm talking about the middle ground of the people that we have to convince.
Right.
Do you disagree,
Well,
Charlie?
yeah. I mean, there has been some polling that he's been hurt decently, both within his own party and within independents, especially from what I've seen, college-educated women in the last,
Wait a minute. We're letting them go to college now?
Apparently, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Charlie had.
They want to stop that.
Yeah, Charlie had his hand up about this. Do you agree with me that there's that whole middle ground that I think this didn't play to?
I don't know. Like John said, the polling has been showing that Trump's been hurt by this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but like, for instance, you and I, are we either of us surprised by what we heard in the last couple of weeks? Yeah.
Not at all.
I haven't heard anything that I didn't expect to hear. What, that he was sitting in the dining room and just watching Fox to see the riot going on and not doing anything about it? Oh, surprise, surprise.
I mean, there's also been some polling that indicates that the Republican Party overall has been hurt by it a little bit. There's some decent polling recently that shows that their chances of gaining the majority in the Senate back have diminished quite a lot. Which I kind of believe.
Well, you see, it shouldn't be. But it shouldn't be. But it's only because these jerks literally persist in idolizing Trump, saying that the election was rigged, which it clearly was not. I mean, I'm always a skeptic about everything, and I'm sure Josh is, and I'm sure even Kevin is. But I don't think, and I know, I don't think any of you feel that, he didn't win fair and square. So,
yeah, right.
But you got all these Republicans out there. Do you know something like 190 candidates have been elected in primaries in this country, in Republican primaries, because they sided with the idea that the election was stolen?
Yeah. But I think the question remains to be seen if that works out well for them, because who's electing these Republicans in these primaries? And it's basically just hardcore Republicans.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Where's that going to go in a general election? I mean, I don't know. We don't know yet, but all we have to go off of is polling that indicates so far that it's not going to work out very well for them. Now, the congressional elections, are obviously coming up here in November. not very far away. So I think we're getting close enough to that we can start to take a look at it. You know, obviously the next presidential election is a very long way away. So really no judgment can be made on that. But,
Right.
you know, we'll see what happens for them. I mean, you know, look, I don't think that their hardcore support for Trump and this January 6th thing is going to work out as well as they thought it was. And that's probably, you know, I hope so. That's good news. I mean, that should be the first small step in perhaps restoring some of the faith in the American democracy and the American electorate that many people, including a lot of people that call your program, had lost. Because if that turns out to be the case, that's, you know, that's good news.
By the way, I was talking about MSNBC a second ago, and so to kind of get my wife's goat a little bit, I started watching Fox. Just on any TV set that I had on, I would have Fox on, which, believe me, to suffer through that just to get even with your wife, you know, is not worth the trouble. All right, but I'm watching them, and of course, it's like Bizarro World over there. It's like everything's 100% the other way. All right, so I'm watching it, and they bring up something, and it was a good case. They were talking about here in New York yesterday, I think it was, a Republican candidate for governor running in the primaries, who was campaigning, was attacked on stage by somebody who grabbed him and tried to stab him with a device. It looked like brass knuckles with spikes on it, and it was pretty terrible. You know, pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible that the guy's still alive.
No, see, that's wrong. That's
I'm
wrong.
joking. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, you don't joke that way. Anyway, he turn your mic down a little bit, will you? Just a little
me?
bit. Yeah, it's a little too
Okay,
hot.
sure.
Too hot. They were complaining that, well, you know, you go over to MSNBC and they're not even reporting this because it was a Republican that got attacked. And I went over to MSNBC to see, and no, they weren't. I asked Marjorie, I said, did you know this happened? And she went, no. I said, well, it did, you know. And finally I was able to find it on a news clip on YouTube. But she didn't know. And so she was kind of in the same world that a Fox person gets into, in which all the news is aimed at what she wants to hear. And, you know, something like this, like, went through the cracks. They weren't reporting it on MSNBC.
Yeah.
So,
I heard it on KCBS.
you turn up your mic now. Now you're too low.
Sorry. I heard it on KCBS. Can you hear me at all?
No, a little more.
Okay, let me get the audio. Here we go.
Yeah.
This better?
It's a little better.
Sure.
Not much.
What?
How about that?
A little better.
Okay, so I heard it on MSNBC. I wonder why this is a mess tonight.
You heard it on where?
Yeah, on MSNBC.
KCBS.
On KCBS locally yesterday
A
afternoon.
local San Francisco station, which actually, you know, it's a New York story, but they were reporting it on KCBS. See?
Yeah, that's all I listen to is KCBS News Talk.
Yeah. Well, it's not KCBS News Talk. They don't do news talk. They do news.
No. Just news.
They just do news.
Just news.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But the news, you got to talk. So to me, it's news talk.
Yeah.
I understand. the difference.
KGO is news.
But you know, it's a perfect example of where she ensconces herself in this world, and she gets whatever news they're and the spin they're going to put on it.
Boy, I quit watching it. I mean,
Yeah.
if I want to go to Fox, I'll watch Fox stuff and get my Republican side. Then I'll go to MSNBC for a few minutes. But I have not turned on MSNBC for more than about 3 minutes in the last 5 months.
I can't
don't
watch
watch
it.
it all the time.
It drives me crazy.
I don't watch it
I
at
used to
all.
watch it all the time, and I just don't do it anymore because CNN gives you both sides.
Yep. I
Yeah,
watch
As much as
CNN.
they can get a little bit cocky on one side, they still give you both
Well,
sides.
CNN has a new policy. They don't want their news people to be opinionated.
Well, they are, to a point, but they don't go out of their way to do it.
Yeah.
They're all going to be that way,
But they also, you know what they've done over at CNN, if you look closely? No more breaking news.
Really?
They've done
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
They say they've done
all the
away.
time.
They said the other day they were doing away with the breaking news thing.
Yeah, well, it's still there.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Lying cocksuckers.
They all break wind. All the time.
But
That'll never go away.
yeah, that's where the news channels are at, So I don't put a lot into them. I really don't watch them either. I mean, very minor time I would spend on those. I would find my news through reading and things like that, But I mean, it's the same way. I mean, I constantly hear these things about this, Fox News. They still to this day. I mean, daily, as far as I know, they hit away at this, like Hunter Biden's laptop thing or whatever, and as if like all of us as leftists or liberals or Democrats or against, he can't go to jail or whatever. And like I've said before, okay, then if he broke the fucking law, then prosecute him and put him in jail. I don't care if he's Joe Biden's son. And if you find some tape of Joe Biden helping him break the law, then impeach his ass and get him out of there. I mean, you don't have to play the Trump game. I mean, then get rid of him. I don't care. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Let's just, it's the Hunter Biden and Don Jr. and all that. God, can we just ask for and demand integrity amongst, politicians?
Well, no, can we ask that you report the news? I think that's probably what we're asking here. Yeah. Yes, Alan.
I'm looking at CNN breaking news right now, and the big headline is Secret Service identifies phones with potential missing text messages. So they still are doing breaking news.
Yeah, but you're looking at the phone. I think we were talking about the TV when they come on and say breaking.
I watch the TV at night.
Yeah, but you're reading the web page.
Yes.
Notifications and stuff. Yeah. But they're still doing the headline breaking news on CNN. I know that for a fact.
Because that was the other thing that was getting to me, because it really cheapened what breaking news is, isn't it?
Usually it's something happening right now, but it's usually every other commercial it's breaking news, and it gets irritating.
You seem to agree. You seem to agree with this, Charlie. I mean, are you getting a little tired of MSNBC, for instance?
Well, I mean, how much breaking news can you have? I mean, every story's breaking news to them.
Yeah, but I mean, how about MSNBC always taking the side that you're on, and it should make you feel good, but I don't feel that good about it. I feel like I'm being pandered to.
If you go to Fox News, every hour for 5 days, breaking news is Biden falling off the bicycle.
Yeah, you know what they did here? It's strange. The worst of all the channels when it comes to misinformation is One America News, OAN.
Really?
Oh yeah, by far.
Wow. I don't get it.
They have been listed as just the worst. Well, I got a thing from Fios today that as of the 31st of the month, they're no longer going to be carrying One America News. Which I'm going, oh, hey, that's great. And they go, because we couldn't come to an agreement on carriage fees.
Right.
And I'm thinking, you didn't think about getting rid of them just because everything they have on there is known to be a goddamn lie?
It sounds like Dredge, the Drudge or whatever the thing that Phil listens to.
Well, they got rid of what's his name, Glenn Beck. They had a channel with Glenn Beck on it, and they got rid of it. Again, I think because they came up with carriage problems. But I kind of liked watching Glenn Beck, because at least at times he was funny, And if he was still mistaken in everything he said, I would prefer to watch him say than any of those other wonks like Hannity or Tucker Carlson.
I how anyone could watch that kind of stuff every night and then consider themselves informed on either side. I don't know. I mean,
Well, you're getting a whole passel of misinformation. There's no question about it.
I mean, I just read, a newspaper or two, and, I have subscriptions, and I mean, people don't like that or whatever because they left lean or whatever. I mean, come on, it's a newspaper, you know what I'm saying? You just read it. I mean, and look, I say it all the time, and I've said it before. I just turn C-SPAN on, and they say what they say, and then I heard it, and there you go. I mean, I turn it on when I'm working and doing research.
Yeah, the only problem with C-SPAN is
sometimes,
C-SPAN is so goddamn boring.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I never watched C-SPAN.
They're not doing anything to tell you how to
C-SPAN,
think.
the only thing on C-SPAN worth watching is when they have the people call up and make comments. That's their commentary.
Yeah, that gets
and
a
the
lot
fact
of hand,
that
but-
somebody will come up with like the most harebrained
Yeah.
thing they want to say, and they say it, and because the host can't comment on it or anything else, it's always, well, thank you so much for calling. We really appreciate your call.
People say
and
what
the
they have
fact
to
that
say,
you,
and then
the
they
fact that you hate black people. Yeah, goodbye.
go to the next. Go on to the next. I mean, they have guests on who represent a certain side, and then as soon as that guest is over, they have another guest on who will give you another point of view or whatever, and they will take calls and all that. I mean, and they just disseminate information.
Look, I know what points
about
of view,
your government.
Yeah, I know what points of view I don't agree with. Okay, and that's fine. But I don't, just because I have an opinion doesn't mean I want to be pandered to and played to my opinion all the time. You know, and everybody without question on MSNBC is always trying to play to the left-leaning liberal. And actually, they're more liberal than they are left-leaning. If they were left-leaning, they'd be a little more radical in their opinions.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's to make money. I mean, I think we're all aware of that, right?
Yeah.
It's to make money.
Charlie, where do you get your news?
I used to do it online, or there's a couple of shows I listen to. I know you don't like the Young Turks, but I get my news from them.
I don't like the Young Turks because I find, what's his name? I can't remember his name now.
Cenk Uygur,
one of the biggest assholes I've ever met in my life. I mean, just terrible. Just terrible. Sirius XM, because were on Sirius XM at one time. I had to host, I think it was election night coverage with him. And I couldn't get a word in edgewise. He was like hogging the whole thing. He didn't know how to work well with others. He was just one of the most unrelenting jerks that I've had to deal with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but those are the kinds of programs that they're not going to give you like a.
Oh,
they're not going to give you an unbiased view. I mean, that they have.
Yeah, he admits he's biased. Yeah.
Right. I mean, which is fine. I mean, that's, there are plenty of people host those sorts of programs and podcasts and things like that. I mean, so it's, it's fine as long as you understand what it is.
Well, Young Turks, you have to either seek out or subscribe to. I don't know what their model is these days. And so if you're paying for something and you want to hear that, then you should get your money's worth.
Okay? I mean, that's the, you have that freedom. I mean, and that right, and to entertain yourself or inform yourself.
Yeah.
However you see fit, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's I don't think it's necessarily informative, but I mean, but others would disagree. So I get that, but I mean, there's not a lot out there that you can really go to, honestly anymore. I mean, everything is geared toward a market, and it's to make money. And then, the market is identified and it's researched, and it's used to shape and mold programming. And it's really no different than, making movies or whatever. I mean, they make movies that people will they think are going to want to watch. You
Well,
know,
I talked to a friend of mine last night who I hadn't talked to in a while, and he happened to have been the former governor of the state of New York.
Could bring them on the show.
Huh? Yeah, we're going to.
On the show.
But anyway, I had him on the program, and I mean, I was talking with him, and he said, well, since we talked last, he said, hasn't the world just gotten weird? He said, it's just untenable out there, you know. And, you know, David Paterson, by the way, is the governor's name. He's the guy that took over from the guy who, client number 9.
In a wheelchair, he's blind or something.
Well, he was blind. He's blind, yeah. Mm-hmm. He has a certain amount of. He can see a little bit, but he's legally blind. Okay, and a great guy. I think the world of. But he's going to come over. We're going to do a thing with him, because he and I got into a quick discussion about it, about how just everything was. He says, it's not like when we were kids and when you were a radical, you actually took action. He said, now you just go to a rally and then you go home, you know, and it ends there. You know, it's just, I mean, we do not live in the world that I signed up for, or that I don't even live in the America I was promised. You know, I mean, all this contentiousness and everything is just more than I can take. And I don't know about you guys, but it's never seemed wonderful to me, you know. So
yeah, I mean, I don't like it at all, which is one of the reasons I don't watch those cable programs, because they're in business to keep that division going.
But how long can this country survive with this kind of mentality going on? You know?
Well, I think it'll survive indefinitly. I mean, it's already survived far worse division than that.
No, I don't think so. I think, quite frankly, that no. I think we're in trouble. I think
this might be selfish, but I think we're lucky that we're all in the last third of our life, and we won't have to put up with it for very long.
I mean, there's a certain sick part of me that would like to live to be another 100 years so I could see where this thing goes. But I think in another 100 years, the America that's here now won't be recognizable. You know, I think that I think we're going to see a civil war. I think that's going to happen. You know, of one sort or another. And
especially if Trump gets reelected.
Well, forget about it. Trump ain't going to get reelected. Okay, the only one in America who actually believes that is Donald Trump, and I don't even think he believes.
And Phil Meyer.
And Phil Meyer. No, I think Phil doesn't necessarily think he will either. But I don't think Biden's reelectable. Okay.
No, I agree.
So I mean, and in fact, Biden would be doing the Democrats a great favor if he didn't run.
Yep.
Well, in the news a couple days ago, Kamala Harris and whatever the governor's name is in California are looking into, starting fundraising in case Biden doesn't want to run.
I can't see Biden wanting to run. Okay. I mean, for the good of the party, the guy's going to be what, 81 years old, 82 years old?
That's near death. Shit.
Hey, watch it.
He's all ready to be on Cabinet. That's
who?
The president.
Oh, Biden, yeah.
Biden, yeah.
Have him do commentary on Cabinet. Right.
Well, I mean, I think it's too early to gauge his re-election.
What's the practicality of him running and winning? Have you seen him lately? I mean, I hate to say this, and I don't know if I come off this way, but in 79 years of age he's coming off as doddering. I mean, you see him walk. I mean, come on, I've got neuropathy and I walk better than that.
Not everybody ages the same way. I mean, look at you. You're in pretty good health.
Well, it's only because you see me sitting down all the time. You know.
Well, you walk through the park sometimes. You see.
Yeah, we get to see that.
Yeah, I haven't done it lately. And by the way, I'm not going to do it right now because the heat is just unrelenting. How's it doing up in
Knocking me
Connecticut?
out.
Knocking you out?
It's hot here
the
too.
temperature.
Yeah, yeah,
And I got a swimming pool I can go to.
yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask you a question. So I'm watching a movie tonight called I can't remember now, but anyway, I'm watching a movie tonight, and this girl in it has a pacemaker, and it's a action picture, and they've got to jump out of the window into a moat, and she winds up underwater. Pacemakers work underwater, don't they?
Sure.
Oh,
Sure.
okay, all right. I just wanted to ask you because I didn't know, what
They're working in blood, Alex.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. I didn't stop to think about that, but all I know is that it's also run by electricity, which sometimes can be shorted out by water. Okay.
Well, this is my second one because the one on this side got infected.
I was going to say, I thought you might have said I didn't make the payments on the other one.
Yeah. So anyway, they put it on the other side. With
Really?
new wires.
It doesn't have to be on the same side as your heart. Well, your heart really your heart technically isn't on a side. It's almost in the center of your little center, right about here. Right?
It's still on this side.
So what side are they controlling? The right side or the left side, Jeff?
Well, your pacemaker for everybody is
okay.
typical.
So you have to. This is not a like an automatic defibrillator. This is a real pacemaker that.
It's a pacemaker.
So that's the
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Some of them are like defibrillators.
Yes, so that's something different.
Okay.
Yeah. So some people do wear.
I can't believe how long they last.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you had this one?
Seems like 15 years.
It's time to develop a new one.
Yeah. Let me ask you this though. It runs by electricity. Do you have to charge it?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. How long do the batteries last? Do you have to replace the batteries?
Well, eventually, yes. But at that point, you don't take the battery out. You take the whole thing out.
Yeah.
You figure out you may as well have a whole new system.
Right. But it doesn't have to. It also doesn't have to work all the time, right? It only works when your heart needs the
Depends upon the patient, and,
Yeah.
what their needs are.
Yeah.
Mine kind of work by themselves.
Now, Kevin, you've had something. Do you still have it? That thing they put in you?
Sure as hell didn't take it out.
Oh, okay. Well,
There you go.
yeah. So my question is, how's that going for you?
Fine.
Now explain what it was. It was something to relieve you of the
A
pain.
spinal cord stimulator.
Ah, okay. And
I gotta have the battery changed in 5 or 6 years, I think.
oh, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And how big's the battery? Oh, it's about like a 8 car
Just
battery.
probably a
battery.
little button battery, but they take the whole thing out and then shove a new one in.
Oh, wow.
They do it under the skin.
Yeah. It's implanted in my back.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of ours last night, or night before last, and she's had a pacemaker since she was like 3, and she's had 9 of them.
Wow.
Oh.
And she has them put in, a new battery put in about every 7 years, and she was due to have one put in, I guess, in September.
Do they actually have to go inside, or can they do it?
Yeah, they go inside, change the whole thing out, because the battery's in it. They just change the whole unit out.
Can they do it laparoscopically, or do they have to do it?
They go in and do it.
They have to crack the chest there.
A little cut.
Yeah, they just do an incision, pull it out, put it back in.
Yeah.
No, they don't crack.
Oh, good. Well, if it keeps you alive, it keeps you alive.
Kept her alive since she was 3 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, here's a pacemaker.
That's
Hold it
not
up higher.
that's not the one you have in you.
No, It's an
Yeah, he
old
went
one.
to the bathroom and
Let's
took
see
it
it.
out.
Hold it up to the camera again. Up. We can't
Higher
see
up.
it. Higher up towards the camera. See
Higher
the,
up.
Portrait?
that's the camera where the camera is. See the camera eye?
Yeah.
Put it by your nose.
There
There
you
you
go. Oh, okay. And that goes inside of you. It goes in the chest.
Yeah, typically that one was on that side.
Okay. Is there anything outside at all?
Well, this is connected to a cable wire, if you
Yeah.
want to call it that.
A really long one.
Well, it depends upon how far you are.
But
So was that one of the ones you developed, Jeff?
No. This one was actually mine.
Oh, wow.
And what happened was I had this infection. And so they took it out. And I said, could I have it? He said, yeah, take it.
Like pericarditis or something like that?
no, you're talking about an entirely different thing there. Pericarditis is a heart problem.
Yeah.
Heart infection.
Yeah, but I
But
think
there's some other devices that I
But wait a minute,
developed
the
that-
infection wasn't a heart infection, was it? It was just an infection, period, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah. But there's a little mesh that's on one side of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of like a mesh, and it prevents clots and things like that.
Yeah.
Like a filter.
Yeah. So I worked on that one,
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, you know,
and I have one.
it's amazing what we're doing today scientifically
Oh, yeah.
to keep people going. I mean, look at what we did to Kevin here. I mean, are you happy with the thing they put in you? I mean, has it helped?
Yeah.
Yeah. What has it done? Relieve pain?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. You know.
Cut my meds in half.
Now there was no way we could save Charlie's toes.
Nope.
However,
They're
the day may
gone.
come when diabetes is curable. You know.
Or transplant toes.
Well, I guess they could transplant toes anyway, but I don't think it was offered, was it, Charlie?
No.
No. So, anyway, but you had diabetes pretty bad, right?
Well, yeah, I've had it for almost 20 years.
Yeah. Are you taking insulin and stuff?
No, I don't take insulin.
What would you do? Just alter your diet?
I altered my diet and I take metformin. It's worked. It keeps my A1C below 6. So.
Oh, that's great.
What is an A1C? I see it on all the ads on the newscasts.
An average.
It helped my A1C.
It's a snapshot of 2 to 3 months of your highs and lows in your blood sugar.
Oh, okay. All
Yep.
right. Okay.
Instead of like where they tell you to fast the night before and they take your blood sugar. That's a 1 day picture
Yeah.
of it. But this takes it. You don't need to fast. It just
Well, Charlie,
average
you
it
also probably altered your diet, right? You know, you're watching
Quite a
what
bit.
no no carbs, right?
Well, I cut out pretty much all the sodas. I used to drink about 10 Dr. Peppers a day.
Oh my
I drank
God!
one. Well, that's how I got the diabetes, is doing that.
From
Yeah.
Diet Pepper, Dr. Pepper,
Dr. Pepper. No, I don't drink
and
the
it's
diet.
named
I can't
after a
drink-
doctor.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, he was a doctor.
I very early on, I started, as far back as I can remember, have been doing diet sodas, and now I'm on to this this ice flavored seltzer that has no calories in it, no sugar. You know,
That's good.
is it good?
huh? Oh, it's great. Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
love it.
good.
I like it better than I was doing. I used to do Diet Coke all the time, and I like this because it has no caffeine in it. All right, and I don't have to worry about my my carbs. Right, I'll get them eating potato chips instead.
So I mean, you can. Charlie got diabetes by drinking sodas and eating a lot of carbs. Blacks are like 2 or 3 times higher chance of becoming diabetic than anybody else. Caucasian.
Why is that? Is there anybody know what that reason is?
I don't know.
I think it's diet. You eat a bunch of sugary stuff, and
Yeah, but I eat a bunch of sugary stuff. I didn't get to 300 pounds by not eating sugar.
Well, what I'm saying, do you think it's social then? It's socially caused?
I don't know.
They don't have a, they don't have.
I don't know. Maybe Charlie does.
well, part of it's genetic too, because both of my parents have diabetes, and both of my grandparents on my mother's side had diabetes.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
Well, here comes your diabetic pal, Jack Bishop, who is.
But my A1C is 5.5, Charlie.
Mine's 5.8.
That's great. I mean, 5.5 is not even considered pre-diabetic.
I have no idea what mine is. Jack,
Right here, right here.
you're the
Virgin
other
Downs Park.
you're the other diabetic here, right?
Yeah, and I want to point out something that most people don't know.
Yeah.
Diabetes is a custom disease. Not necessarily the same things work for everybody.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's one of the screwy things. Charlie was diagnosed later than I was, and yet he has had more. I don't want to use the current more serious damage than I've had.
Right.
And he gets by with metformin. I took metformin for 8-9 years. Didn't do squat for me. It wasn't until I got on some form of injectable that I started having good control. And now I'm about when I get my hemoglobin.
Well, it's like with me, when I had this problem being tired all the time, which I have, and the thing that I found that cured it was cocaine.
Well, everybody tells me at my weight and my age, you need to be careful of diabetes. And it can happen any time, but I've been heavy for the past 15 years.
Well, look,
Wait a minute.
And I'm not even pre-diabetic.
Kevin, you're a big guy. Have you ever had any problem with diabetes?
They've always played with it, but they also say that my infection caused a bunch of shit that make it look like diabetes.
Yeah, oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
I had an uncle that never weighed more than 180 pounds in his life. And by the time he was 60, he was a diabetic.
Well, Charlie, I'm sure is half the size of me.
Yeah, I have no sign of
in
diabetes.
weight.
I have no sign of diabetes at all.
Well, here's the thing to remember. If you're African American,
Which
if you
I
are
am.
Latino-
Which I am. So.
well, yes, because you're a black man.
Well,
We
no,
know.
my name is Schwarzman. That means black man.
I see.
Yeah.
But if you're African American, if you're Latino, if you're Native American, your chances of being a diabetic are greatly increased.
And then
And,
Charlie's case, he has parents that were diabetic, and hereditary is a big thing.
Well,
no matter what
hereditary is the
it
way it runs as far as heredity. If your grandfather was a diabetic, if you had an uncle who was a diabetic, your chances shoot up immensely.
God was a racist. So I heard. Bannon got nailed today, huh?
Yeah.
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 Oh,
Yeah.
that's
I hope
right.
they
Yeah.
incarcerate
Yeah, he
him.
may get as much as a month in jail.
A month?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. They found him guilty on both of them.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's not the kind. To begin with. Nobody has been found guilty of this in like 40 years.
Really?
Okay, so it's very rare, and it's not like it's not like you went out and robbed somebody. He just refused to testify before Congress. So, they'll probably.
Yeah, but he refused to show up to court.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
He could have taken the Fifth Amendment in court. The right of.
He
not
laughed at the whole thing.
He
That's
didn't.
right.
He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't present a defense.
That's right. Nothing.
I think.
Yeah, he
he,
laughed at the whole thing and then everybody.
I think he actually wanted to go to jail. I think he wanted to. No, it's a
Well,
fun.
I think a lot of people wanted him to go to jail.
No, as a fundraising thing for him. Yeah, I mean, he lives off a reputation to other people who probably should be in jail, and he likes that reputation, just like Roger Stone did. Roger Stone loved being notorious, and the only reason he never went to jail was the same reason I think that Bannon didn't. Was because he got a pardon from Trump, but he didn't get a pardon from anything after the day that Trump gave him a pardon, and this thing happened after Trump gave him a pardon.
Yeah.
So,
if the Republicans take over in 2024, whatever people go to jail because of the January 6th, they'll probably pardon them all.
Well, the thing is, I think Biden would have to pardon them.
Yeah, no, I said 2024. If the Republicans,
right. Yeah,
well, Biden's not going to pardon anybody, not anybody that's any connection to January.
Well, they won't have to pardon Bannon. Well, they could pardon him retroactively, so that it doesn't go on his record. But this is a misdemeanor. How long are they going to throw him in jail for?
A year.
I'd be surprised if he gets more than a month. Really. I'm serious.
Yeah, but then he's got a criminal record for the rest of his life.
No, it's a misdemeanor.
Well, in California, if you get convicted of a misdemeanor, you have a criminal record.
Well, then if you get a traffic ticket,
that's an infraction. That's different.
Well,
it depends on the state.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where was he tried again?
He was tried in New York. Was it Washington? I think Washington.
Yeah,
I think it's Washington.
Yeah,
Virginia.
Yeah, would have to be. How much time do you think he's going to get, Josh? Do you have any idea?
No, I really don't know. There's not really a comparable case or anything. He could get none, I believe, if they choose to, but it's like if you impose jail time, I believe it's a minimum of 30 days and a max of a year for each count. So he could get, 2 months, 2 to 24 months, So I think the judge has the right maybe to not impose jail and just go with other forms of punishment. But, I don't think it's proper, what he did and for people to do that. So I would like to see him get some jail time. I would be fine with him
getting
getting
some kind of punishment,
whatever.
Yeah.
There's a few other people on the list to be prosecuted for this, including, I believe, Roger Stone.
Navarro.
So this is not a good sign for them.
Is it Peter Navarro?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. He's the next. He's the next on trial. Yeah.
Right. So this is, that's not a good. It's not a good sign for them, especially if he gets jail time. And I'd be fine with that. But look, when you're subpoenaed to appear before a court or a committee,
well, you could go before a committee and say,
you do it.
you could say, I refuse to testify about that because blah blah blah, but you showed up.
That's right.
What happened with Bannon is he didn't even show up.
That's how he ended up with contempt of Congress.
Yeah. If he had
the others haven't either. So I honestly think that the punishment should be as severe as they can get it, because this has been the problem with congressional investigations over the last, decade or so, is every time they have one, the people just say, oh, it's politically motivated and I'm not going to go because it's a sham and all that. And they don't go and no one's ever done anything about it. So it's probably maybe if we start actually doing something about it and we actually start telling people, fine, you don't have to show up and testify. If you'd rather go to prison for 2 years, prison's right over there, You can start today if you want. Let's do it that way.
What would you suggest would be a punishment other than jail?
I think I'm sure it's monetary.
I think probably having to stay at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
Well, being banned from Rubber Chicken.
I'd love to see him picking up garbage on the freeway. It'd be great. You could aim your car at him.
Yeah, baby. I'll pay for the gas. We'll use your truck, Kevin.
Yeah.
They should impose, punishment. I don't care who refuses.
I agree. I think they just throw the book at him and make an example at him so nobody else.
The argument was that if the power of subpoena doesn't work for the Congress, then the Congress cannot hold these hearings.
Correct.
You know, I mean, they need to be able to have the ability to subpoena people, even if those people, I mean, several of the people who were subpoenaed who testified, they showed them testifying, and they were just refusing to answer any of the questions. You have the right to do that.
Yes,
You know,
do.
you just don't have
Yeah,
the right
in
not
certain
to show
cases
up.
you do. You know, some of them were probably flaunting the legality of the subpoena by refusing to answer certain questions, because you're only allowed to refuse to answer questions under certain conditions, and I think some of them were operating outside those conditions, and they may still yet pursue that.
Mhm.
But you know, at the very base of it, people refusing to testify before congressional committees has been an ongoing problem now for at least a decade, really longer, but it's gotten really bad the last couple administrations, and it's time for it to stop. I mean, and if they
But these
can put some Democrat in jail for this, like I said earlier, a couple of
Yeah.
years from now. I don't care. That's fine.
It's a perfect opportunity to set examples.
Yes.
These
Start.
people are protected against self-incrimination, and so they could answer, if they showed up to court, they could answer generalized questions that wouldn't incriminate them in any crime.
Well, they can from the
Severino was doing that. He was claiming privilege all through his testimony.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have.
Yeah, but
the
he
pri-
was questioning. When he would answer a question, he would look over at his lawyer and say, "Can I answer that?"
Correct, but there was many
Yeah.
questions that he did answer, and there were
Right.
certain things that he didn't, obviously.
Well, at the time that they're asking him about this stuff, he was working with the president, and so
Right.
therefore
Yeah.
he could
Right.
say
Privilege.
executive privilege
Right.
on those. And
And there was another one that was being questioned. Who was it? He kept claiming fifth. Who was it?
there was
I can't remember
There
who
was
it was.
somebody who was claiming the fifth over and over and over.
He
and
just
over.
turned around and said fifth, 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 fifth.
Yeah.
But he was there.
Isn't it? If I got it wrong, nobody's a lawyer here, but if you answer just one question without, we lost Jack, without claiming the fifth, and you answer one question, then you have to answer all the rest of them,
No, I don't think so.
or you
I
can go
think-
back to the fifth again.
I think as regard to maybe like topic, I believe. Now I don't know the exact specifics on it, but I think in regard to like a subject matter, for example, we'll just like really dumb it down. I think that if you plead the fifth on questions about apples, you can answer questions about oranges, but not apples. I mean,
Oh, okay.
But you can continue to plead the fifth on every question they have.
Yeah, you can. And if the question is deemed to have some sort of possibility to incriminate you, yeah. But I mean, there are certain people who do have to testify to their knowledge of something if it's their knowledge of something that does not incriminate them. But we see people sometimes refuse to do that, such as Bannon. So he didn't even show up and do it. And, to me, that's a violation of the subpoena.
Absolutely. It didn't work out so well for Kennedy when he had Jimmy Hoffa there. He just kept taking the Fifth Amendment. He wouldn't answer anything until they started going after him personally. Then he got pissed. How dare you call me a thief? How dare you call me a liar? That type of thing.
Yeah, but he has the right to do that.
Absolutely.
He has absolutely the right to do that.
Yeah, I mean, but if we're gonna really have congressional investigations and they're gonna go back to not being complete jokes, then the only way we're gonna do that is if they have power behind them and if they have consequences. So it's time, So to me, if this judge does not impose some sort of confinement, then I think that's
monetary punishment would be
stupid.
By the way, what's interesting? I forgot to bring it up about this guy who attacked the guy running for governor on the trying to get the win the primary for governor. The guy attacked him and was arrested, and he was then released without bail.
He was or he wasn't?
Huh?
He was released to OR.
Huh?
Yeah.
What'd you
Yeah,
say?
he was like Kevin said, OR. On his own recognizance.
Right. Now he attacked somebody. He attacked somebody with a weapon.
I don't like it. Yeah, but you know, I mean,
And he doesn't have to pay.
he doesn't get incarcerated until his
He
trial.
doesn't have to pay bail. What's
No.
with that?
California, in California,
Oh, I get.
In
I know.
California-
It was okay. He attacked a Republican. I'm
right?
sorry.
In California, it's called cite and release.
Well, I mean, that's happening a lot in California, isn't it? I mean, down in L.A., the L.A. District Attorney, they're trying to get rid of him because he just doesn't throw anybody in jail.
Gascon. Well, he was the DA in San Francisco, and he was worthless too.
Oh, was that the guy that they threw out of San Francisco because
Yeah.
he just said, I'm not going to put anybody out on bail.
Well, that wasn't this recent guy that got
that was
voted
another
out,
one.
but yeah, it was before that. Yeah, George Gascon. He was
See,
actually.
I have to agree with him on a certain level. Is that I don't think that bail is a great idea because it's many times used as a punishment where it shouldn't be. It should only be used as a guarantee that you will show up in court. And if you're a multi-millionaire or billionaire and they put you on $1 million bail, you could skip bail and not even care about it. But believe
the
me,
bail system sucks.
believe me,
Yeah.
if you're a just the average Joe and they even charge you a $100,000 bail, you can't come up with it. You know, so it's non-equitable.
If I stole the candy bar just about anywhere, including California, and Charlie stole the candy bar, he's going to get a much higher bail than I am.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
In California especially, but because it's racial.
Well, I don't know. I've often felt that a
Unfortunately.
bail should not be a penalty. Bail
Yeah,
because if it isn't a penalty, then what is it? You know, and it is a penalty before being found guilty.
That's right.
You know, you don't have to be
That's right.
guilty to be charged and let out on bail.
So if the crime is heinous enough,
Heinous.
or heinous, okay, heinous. Well, I think we got you to correct us all. But if it's murder, rape, assault with a deadly weapon, maybe we ought to just have no bail for those things, and allow bail to be for stealing a candy bar or drunk driving or something, first offense like that or something.
Well, many times bail is put down hard on people who can least afford it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a racial thing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of blacks that can't afford to be bailed, and so they end up waiting 30, 90 a year in jail for.
Just quickly, I always had a theory that traffic tickets, if you really wanted to use them to make people obey traffic, should be equal or a percentage of what people make. Because you take somebody and you charge them $100 for a speeding ticket, and if they make $1 million a year, they don't give a crap. But if they're only making $35,000 a year, then that's a penalty. So the penalty should be, the ticket should be equivalent to people's income.
I know people who used to drive in the commute lane just because they didn't care. They just say, okay, well, if I get caught, it's one time I get caught. It's $400. Who cares?
Right. Anyway, listen, we got to go. I thank you very much, Josh. Good seeing you again, Alan. Good seeing you, Charlie. Nice of you to call, even though you're away, because we can see the hotel room thing on the back door telling you how much the room rents for. And thank you very much, Kevin. And thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate it, everybody. Give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you. Okay, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the citizen panel for tonight. And let me just get rid of them so that they can go over and hopefully be on Jack's show, which comes up next, The Intersection. He'll be taking your calls on Skype at Gabnet Live. I'm Alex Bennett. I'll see you again on Monday at 4 o'clock on Facebook. with the pop-up show, and then again right back here. Yes, next week, Wednesday, 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Good night, everybody.